I'm going to show you how to seal and foam up your windows and door frames. Whilst you can skip ahead, we're just going to up the stakes a little bit because I need to fit the glass first. And I need to get it from there through this doorway into there. This is triple glazed and it's laminated, so it's just shy of 70 kilograms. That's almost what I weigh. It's 1.1 by 1.7, and I'm going to use my glass lifter to help me. But first I need to stand that up on its end, spin it round and lean it up against the wall. Then I need to swing the glass round on the lifter to get it through this doorway. And I can't lift the glass all the way into the actual frame, so I'm going to have to drop it here and then manhandle it that last little bit. And at any of them points it could go horribly wrong and you won't actually get to see me sealing and foaming up the window because I might not have any glass. On this occasion I think it's a tad too much just for me on my own, so I have roped in Lou. The glass does weigh more than her and she can't lift anything. We are in. I'll show you why I was struggling in a second, but I think I've just made a mistake. Down to business then. Now my personal preference, I drill my frame before I get it in, then I get it in, then I fix it, and then you get a glass in before you then seal it. So then you've got no flexible movement from there on in. It's solid and it's ready to go. Now I've got blocks here. If you've got bricks, you wouldn't necessarily have to do this, but they're quite flaky. So I'm going to go around with a paintbrush, and just knock off any loose bits. Now for me, I'm going to take these stickers off. I will be replacing it with masking tape, but that edge bit there is a little bit too wide for my liking. Providing you measured your windows right with your cavity closers, you probably end up with something like this. You get around the outside. Mine's anywhere from 6 to 8 mil. This stuff in my hands, that's what you want to put in first. This is called foam backer rod. This particular one is 12 mil wide. You can get different sizes. Just going to take a glazing packer and stuff it in all the way around. Okay, we are done all the way around. So you want to push it back so it's maybe 2 mil deep, and you will get some grit down here, but if you've got aluminium windows, don't wipe it with a cloth. Best off using either a paintbrush or my new favourite tool. Tell you what, this is one of the best things that I've ever bought off Amazon. There's a link in the description if you want one. I would be taping right now, carving my tool and then siliconing, but I need to park that because I need to sort this out quickly. Tomorrow I'm putting the bifolds in. I've got a little bit of help, so I'll come back to this in a couple of days. Time to actually seal the windows, the bit that you actually came here to watch. Now, I was planning on doing both, but there's an issue with that one, so I can't do it yet, but I'll tell you about that afterwards if you're interested. We're going to crack on with this one. I'm going to give the edges of the frame a wipe down with some methylated spirits, and that's going to take any residue off there. And then I'm going to put some masking tape down the frame, about 5mm off the edge. Did you hear me? About 5mm off the edge. We're now ready to seal, but bearing in mind this is actually going to be covered by my render, so it's not going to be perfect and I don't need to worry about it. But I'm just showing you the principle of it. You're going to need a bit of wood. This is white wood, tulip wood, pine, I have no idea. It's about 18mm square. Just bear in mind when you're using your tool, it's going to vibrate against these blocks here. If you've got brick, it'll probably be different. If it's rendered, it'll be different. I just need to seal it in for now. As well as that, if you've got brickwork and it's exposed, your mortar's probably going to be a little bit flaky. I would put stabilizing solution on that before you actually tool it off, before you silicone, yeah? So you're going to take your utility knife. These will be available to buy shortly, hopefully anyway, if things go to plan. You're just going to basically start carving, and you need to do both sides, and then eventually you will get to a shape like this. So it's shaped like that. I've got one corner bit there and a rounded bit just there, and this is like really smooth. Obviously I've already used it before, so you know what I'm doing. And the way that I'm going to use this, the rounded part is going to go towards the wall, and that way I'm going to get a bit of a thicker bead on the side. And you're going to cut the end of your silicone quite fat like that. Oh, by the way, I used the Sudacil 215 LM. There'll probably be a link in the description for this kind of stuff. This is really good. This is part of their window systems. I like it. And I was going to use this, but I think I'll go and get me an electric one. I'm pretty sure I've got enough time to go all the way around and then tool it off, but for the purposes of the video, let's give it a shot over here. I've got a quite fat bead there, but bearing in mind I can always come back. And add a little bit more silicone. So you see this corner, you kind of want to aim for the edge of where the tape is. And it will squeeze out this way, but you're going to whack that off. So you take the tape off once you've finished. Right. So let me carry on and then I'll show you afterwards. Okay, this is where I am at the moment. I did put a little bit too much silicone on in places, but I just need to make sure that this is going to be sealed, not necessarily look pretty. Now, I would recommend this technique to get most of the way. I know that people like to use their finger. I'm going to chance it. I'll just try it quickly. I'll wet my finger just to see how it reacts on this kind of surface. Yeah. Oh. Okay, that works quite nice. I would say get it most of the way there with your wood and then come back, wet finger, and just go for the last bit. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's nicer than this bit down here. Okay, that's all done. Make sure you do the bottom underneath the seal as well. This stuff, it tools off really nice. Once you've done the wooden stick, use your wet finger, and then probably about 5 minutes later, you can come back with your wet finger again. And it's almost like moldable at that point, but you need to make sure it's properly in there before you come back and actually do that. You can't just whack it in and then tool it off 5 minutes later, if you understand. We're going to take the tape straight off now. That's your final result. If you really needed to, you could probably put tape up this side as well. That might make it a bit neater. But yeah, after you take the tape off, you can't touch it. If you do, then it will end up looking like that. There was a little bit that I knocked up when I was taking the tape, so I just tried to smooth it again. It's not having it. It's one of them things where you just need to know that you have to leave it from there on in. And as well, I went a little bit crazy and got a little bit too much up here, but this is the lintel, so I can paint this. I'll paint this black afterwards, or maybe white, I don't know. This actual silicone, it's paintable as well. Now that's done, we're going to leave it. We could probably, if I would have done this in the morning, then I could have done the next stage probably about now, but it's late in the day. I'm going to leave that overnight, let it set, and then I'll show you the foam. Next up, we're going to go with our expanding foam. I'll show you that in a minute. You don't want to get that stuff stuck on the actual frames. Last thing you want to do with aluminium frames especially. Now, I've got some masking tape with a polythene sheet on the bottom. So I'm just going to whack that up first and make sure I've got no exposed edges. It doesn't matter so much if you get the foam on the glass. The frame's the last place you want to get it. Ready to go. You'll notice that I've left the original tape on there and there's a little tiny bit of the frame still showing. That doesn't really matter because I will be putting insulated reveals on here, and at the very least you'll be putting plasterboard on there, so that bit will be covered up. I would highly recommend this foam. It's Ilbruck FM 330 Pro Foam Air Seal 2-in-1. Eliminates unplanned air loss. Apparently around windows, that's one of the common places where you get air leakage, especially on new builds. You definitely need this stuff. It's low expanding. Don't get the stuff out of the cans because it's not necessarily specifically for windows. If it expands too much, it's going to warp your window frames. Another thing that's probably worth mentioning, I've left this can on this gun for like 6-7 weeks from the last time I done a window over there. So you can just leave it on, it still works. It's amazing. Shit. And if you are just going to leave it in the can in the gun, make sure you get that end bit clean though, otherwise it won't come out, and then you'll have to dig like a Stanley blade right in that ball bit. But it's not too much fuss, it's just easier than cleaning it out the whole gun. I did go a little bit mental. See, if this would have stuck to the frame, then that would have been a nightmare. Especially when it like rolls down. This is horrible, this stuff. It just doesn't want to come off. So yeah, I made a little bit of a mess of it, but because I was feeling brave, I done this door. I've used expanding foam tape on the outside, but the back side it was missing. So I just thought I'd whack it round. But I didn't cover this up because I ended up with a bit more control on this side. Okay, I think I'm going to go back in time and talk to you about this window. I just took off the label, the sticker there. There's normally another square sticker just next to it, and then I realised actually that's on the other side of the glass, which is just there, energy efficient glazing. But if you look on this one, you know, label there, square one, coated glass, glazed with this surface to the outside. All the other glazing units that I've got, the coating sticker is with the labelled sticker, apart from these two. Now, has someone just decided that they'll randomly swap it round, or is this the right way or is it the wrong way? I don't know whether you're going to be able to make it out on camera, but obviously this one's clear, the middle one's clear, and the back one's got the coating on. Now to me, this looks right. Imagine I've stuck the bars on there. This looks right from the other side. So that E-coating, that is going to mean it's going to reflect the heat back out instead of the cold back out, and it won't keep the heat in. Well, I think it bloody will. I don't think it really matters to you. So for aesthetic reasons, I'm going to keep it like that. That one's going to be exactly the same. It doesn't matter because that is a cloakroom and this is the utility room. That's the reason why it's obscured. I was standing there thinking it'd be nice just to have a view of the oak tree there, but the reason why it's obscured is so you can just chuck all your washing in there and a load of tat and just close it off and it don't really matter. I'm going to put an obscured glass door there as well. Oh, the reason why I had trouble getting it in is because of this. This is thermal enhancement. It goes around the frame. I just think that the glass is probably a tad too big to account for this. If you didn't have this, then fair enough, it's the right size. So I'm not sure whether they've made that adjustment within their software. I've got 3 panes in there, so one of them is 6.8 laminated, then the other 2 are 4mm and 4mm, they are toughened glass. The laminated one is normally on the outside, and that's the reason why it's backwards at the moment. I'm not sure whether it makes a difference in terms of the soft low E coating, because on the 2 4mm they're both soft coated. It's also got obscured film on it. I've decided to put it in that way, and then when we come to do the other one, we had a bit of aggro. I've been sorting that out, but just now I decided to fit this one. Can you see on the glass up there, it's all fucked. I don't know whether it shows on camera, the E coating is bodged basically, and there's scratches in it as well. So I'm going to try and flip it round, but I've changed that one. That's like that. That looks absolutely fucking shit, like you wouldn't believe. So just to summarise, I put this in and then I realised that there was an issue with the markings from the low E coating. I think because it's a soft one, it's basically like a silver coating system that goes on it in a factory like machine or something, but it just didn't work properly. I don't know whether they laid the glass down wrongly afterwards or something basically fucked it up, and maybe it was something to do with like a cleaning solution around the edges, no idea. I turned it backwards to the way that it's supposed to be. That looked absolutely fucking shit, like you wouldn't believe, so I didn't want to do that, and then I decided to take it back out and spin it around because the bottom edge down here is worse than the top edge up here. I left it. I wanted to live with it. Lou was saying about having a climber just to like cover up the edges or something, but I happened to speak to the governor of the window company today, and I mentioned it to him, and he said, look, if we need to replace any units, then let us know. They have been really good in terms of sorting out problems, but what I was saying to him is like that's fine, but I would have preferred not to have problems in the first place. I know like other window companies, they might not have bothered. That's why it's always important to pay at least a deposit on your credit card. So I've got a new window coming for that one. I don't know whether they'll take that one or not, but I don't really care. When I was speaking to him, I said, look, I'm not overly happy with your glass suppliers. He said the way that it's judged is if you can see it from 3 meters away, then yeah, it's a problem. If you need to be closer than that, then you basically you need to live with it. There are other things within the glass elsewhere that I'm not overly happy with, like a hair and a bit of grit and stuff, but I will just live with the odd things. At the end of the day, I need to crack this out, don't I? So, but that one's being replaced. I couldn't deal with that because I mean we drive in, that's the first thing I see. I'd see that every single bloody day, and I'd just like I'd hate it for the rest of my life. Anyway, that's my story. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.